What's up everybody, Brian here with BPS Customs, and Patriot sent me over a keyboard that they wanted me to check out. This is the Viper V760 mechanical keyboard, and we're going to unbox it and take a look at it right now. Alright, we got our keyboard here. Let's unbox it, let's take a look at how it's packaged, and then get into some of the details. Now, you can see I've already cut this. I've cheated a little bit. I've actually already taken the plastic off of the keyboard itself, so you're not going to see me undo that. Sorry, guys. Alright, this packaging feels really sturdy. There's some really nice, very dense foam in here, which I like. This is a really nice packaging. Patriot's really done a lot here to make sure that these keyboards arrive in good shape. Here is the keyboard itself. There you go. We'll take a closer look at that in a second. Alright, so we got here a letter, perhaps? Just kidding. The instructions. And some stickers. And an ad. Okay, the instructions are really simple. I don't know if you could read them, but it says plug in and turn your computer on. So that's about it. I think we all know how to plug in a keyboard. Now, what else comes in here? We got our keycap puller, which is the same basic design as most other companies use. It's really simple operation. I'll show you guys how to do it in a second. And we also have a magnetic wrist rest, which I really like. This is not something you see a lot of times on even high-end keyboards, but Patriot has included this here, and it's nice matte finish, and it attaches magnetically to the bottom of the keyboard. And I'll show you that too in a minute. Alright, so let's get this packaging out of here and talk about the keyboard in a little more detail. Okay, so here it is. Now, as I said, this is the wrist rest, and it attaches to the keyboard just by doing one of those. Now it's attached. Basically, it just kind of snaps on like that, and it's a really nice finish, nice feel, and I'll test it out in a minute. But that's basically, it's super simple to attach, looks good, goes with the rest of the color scheme. Patriot actually tells me that this is an aircraft grade aluminum material used on this chassis. Maybe that's one of the reasons why it's so sturdy. You have these curved edges here. These are basically just for aesthetics, but the whole top of the keyboard has the aluminum finish, and that kind of continues down to the sides here of this wrist rest. And then you got Patriot's Viper logo right here. Now I'm going to take this off just for the ease of talking about this keyboard. But basically, what you have here is your standard 104 keyboard, number pad, all that good stuff. Typical key layout, typical keycaps. I like that Patriot has included standard keycaps. I don't like funky, angled, weird shaped keycaps. I do kind of dig Corsair's WASD, kind of a little more indented, because they give you the second set and you could change it back to regular keys if you want. But for normal applications, normal purposes, I like to have regular looking keys. I don't like gamery stuff. So good job, Patriot. I think this looks great. It's super solid construction too. It feels very sturdy, doesn't have any kind of flex at all. It's heavy. Well, it's heavy without being too heavy. It has a nice heft to it, and it feels like it's well built without, I guess, being something that you can't move around your desk. The cable is braided. Now, I do like that this feels like a nice sturdy cable, although I've found a lot of times that braid, because this is like a fabric braid, these can tend to pull, like catch and pull on things. So, you know, I don't fault Patriot for using this here because it does look nice, but just be aware of where you're routing your keyboard cable, because you don't want it to catch and then you get these snags and it looks ugly. I also really like that Patriot has included this cable tie, this Viper branded cable tie, because when you're doing cable management on your desk, These come in super handy. You could tie these to, say, the back of your PC tower or some other cables that are running around, and make sure that this stays neat and tidy and it's not just kind of flopping all over the place. So good job, Patriot, for including this. Appreciate that. As you can see, the cable has two USB plugs. Oh my god. Okay, two USB plugs on it. And these are USB 2s. Now the reason that there are two here, for those of you who have not used a mechanical keyboard with pass-through, is that it needs the second USB signal to use for this pass-through. And this pass-through comes in extremely handy if you're attaching a mouse or something along those lines, or even just to have in case you want to put a thumb drive in here without, say, reaching over to your tower or anything like that. But I do really like the fact that Patriot has included this. It's a feature, again, you don't generally see on $100 keyboards. This is generally reserved for, you know, more expensive versions of products from, you know, Razer and Corsair and whatnot. But the rest of the back of the keyboard is bare. There's nothing here except for the cable, which is not detachable, which is not a big deal at all. And then you see that there's nothing on the back. There's some feet that extend, there's some rubber pads, but there's nothing back here at all. Alright, so the keys. Now this does feature Kale brown switches, not Cherry MX brown switches. Cherries are made in Germany. They're a little more expensive than Kale switches, but I have found in my personal experience not a whole lot of difference between Kales and Cherries. I guess if I had to choose, I would choose Cherry Reds, but Kales are also a very solid choice, and mechanical switches have come a long way in the past couple of years. That doesn't mean that this is still not a very functional and very... Yeah, I'm typing a lot of nonsense right now, but just so you can kind of get it here, get a sense of how it sounds. It's really not overly loud at all, especially compared to something like Blues, which I can't even use anymore because they're just so loud. But I like reds. Browns are probably my, I guess probably my second favorite. Clears are nice too. I actually ran a poll on Twitter just to see what people favor as far as switches goes, and it came out, I'll show you guys right here, but it's completely even. There's no way to tell which is the favorite switch, and I think that, I mean, it's all personal preference, so whatever you like, just go with. But this keyboard only does come in browns, but browns are really nice. They feel like cherries, to be honest with you. They're not loud, and they have a very satisfying actuation. I like the way the keys feel. So as far as the keys themselves, this is the keycap puller like I showed you before, and the way this works is you just kind of pop it onto a key and pull the key off. It's very simple. The keys are held in place just by this little cross pattern clip back here, and you can see that the switches are illuminated by a single LED at the top of the key. It will directly illuminate the letter corresponding to the main function of the key itself. Now the way this will spread the light around the rest of the key is it will reflect off of the inside of the keycap and be reflected down onto the keyboard. And that's how you get the illumination for the rest of the lighting situation. Now this is a fully RGB enabled keyboard. So what I want to do is I want to plug it in. I'm going to take a look at some of the features that it offers and some of the software that it offers as well. And then we'll wrap up. All right, so here we are. This is the Viper software. Now everything is controlled from this one window here, and this is what starts up when you start the application right over here. Now this is going to look, I guess, pretty familiar to a lot of people who are used to using RGB accessories. You have different zones you could choose. You could do individual keys if you want. You could set your macros in here. You could change lighting, all things along those lines. Now you can set profiles, which I don't have any saved right now, but you could set profiles for certain applications, for certain users, whatever else you want to do. So right now we have this set to wave. You can see the colors are waving across in the full RGB spectrum. But if we go ahead and we change this, I mean, I'm sure you guys know all of these things by now. Actually, Sidewinder, I don't know what that is. Let's check out Sidewinder. Oh, it's like a snake. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's like tracking across the keyboard. It'll come back this way. There we go. So we could change the color on the Sidewinder, I don't know, to like a something else. Maybe. Can I? Maybe like a red? Oh, here we go. How about a red? Okay. Let's apply a red. There we go. Okay, so it's pretty simple operation. You can see how the lighting comes out of the keys like we talked about before, how it's illuminating underneath the keycaps by that single LED, and it's kind of reflected off of the bottom of the keycaps themselves and then projected down onto the keyboard. So let's check out a couple of these other things, like I guess Spectrum we'll try out. And just kind of fading. This is a very slow fade across the entire spectrum. Then we have Raindrop. That's a new one. Let's see what Raindrop is. Oh, it's like it's raining. That's kind of cool. The thing about these kinds of features is that I find them to be extraordinarily distracting. I like to play with them when I first get the component, the accessory, whatever else. But other than that, I don't use them in regular everyday life because I'd just be staring at my keyboard the whole time. Does this do anything when you type? No. So, you know, they're kind of cool, but I don't use them. And that's unfortunate because I have a lot of RGB accessories that just kind of sit there in their static state. This is radar. Oh, I guess it's sweeping. Okay. But then, I mean, you have all the regular stuff. You have wave and whatnot, and static. You just static color. You can make this red, or you can make it, you know, blue, or whatever else you might want. There you go, blue keyboard. So this is the software. It's very simple. I mean, you could control everything from this one panel right here, and that's all there really is to it. There are no sub menus or anything like that. You could light individual zones. Like I said, you could select individual keys and change their effects. And that's about it. So what do I think of the Viper keyboard? I think it's excellent. I think this is a strong value in a segment where we're seeing prices skyrocket for features that nobody really needs. This is a very basic layout keyboard. It's got useful features like the wrist rest. It's got the USB pass-through. It's got switches that will please, I'd say, most people. And there's nothing to complain about. There's nothing wrong with the keyboard. There's nothing that I see that's missing that should be here. And I really like it overall, and I definitely recommend it. This is probably the best $100 or below keyboard I have ever tested. Come to think of it, it may be the best $100 peripheral I've ever tested. Seems like a great product to me, and I'll definitely be using it probably on my test bench from now on. That's it. This is Brian with BPS Customs, signing out.